In this question, we will graph and analyze square root functions. Here we have been told to identify the domain and range for this function. Now looking at this, you can see the radical symbol without any number. That means it's always 2. That is a square root function. But it can be, say, 3. That is cube root function. It must be mentioned 3. If it is 4, it will be mentioned 4, 5, 6, any other number than 2. But if it's nothing, you should understand that is 2. It's a square root. Now, how do we understand these domain and range? Domain is to do with the x values. Range is to do with something that's added or subtracted, because see over here, when you subtract 1, that relates to y outside, which is relating to x, this part. But now here, this is a square root function, so whatever is inside x, let's consider x plus 2. Now we know so much for certain that inside the square root we cannot have negative, right? Why? Because then it will be imaginary number. So whatever is inside the square root must always be greater than or equal to 0, isn't it? So what will be the domain? Just take 2 to the other side. X must be greater than or equal to minus 2. Sorry, not 1, minus 2. Because 2 to the other side will be both the sides minus 2. This is the answer. Now here you can see in the options there are 2x greater than or equal to minus 2. That's one way to figure out the domain. We don't know which one is the range now because there are two answers. Let's see. What is being added to it? That is minus 1. But now square root functions are always like this, or sometimes it goes like this. I'll come to that in a while. That will be y is less than or equal to certain number. But most of the functions will be like this. When is it? Whenever the function is positive. See over here, this is plus 5. If it was minus 5, it's altogether different story, which we'll see in the later on problems. But here now, you can see this is positive and you're minus 1. But the domain part, the square root is positive, isn't it? You don't have any plus or minus over here. See now, if you had minus x plus 2, this is minus, it goes downwards. But now here, if you have, say, minus 2, this doesn't matter. Here, this is to do with the range. Only if this is plus, the square root function goes up. If it is minus here, square root function goes down. Doesn't matter which number you have, 7, 10, doesn't matter. That number doesn't matter at all. That will just do with stretching or compression. So this is very important to understand the sign, plus or minus. Now look here, is there any plus or minus? It's plus. There's no sign. That means it's plus. So here what you need to do is y will be greater than or equal to whatever the number is added or subtracted, minus 1. If it was y equals minus 5 square root x plus 2 minus 1, then you should write y less than or equal to, because this minus sign is there, then minus 1. That is the difference. I hope that's clear. It's very important. Now here then y is greater than or equal to minus 1. This is it. And over here we had x is greater than or equal to minus 2. So option C is your correct answer. That's one type of questions we'll be getting. Now what about this one? So you will have 4 options with you. So there's no problem for you to easily figure out which is the correct answer. I'll do the actual method. Look here, minus 2. That means what? It is moving downwards by 2 units. So which is moved downwards by 2 units from the x-axis? This is more than 2. This is at 0. This is minus 6. So this is the correct answer. That's it. Now x plus 4 is equal to 0. So x is equal to minus 4, right? Where is it minus 4? Basically, it's greater than or equal to minus 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. And we are 2 units down. This is the correct starting point for the square root function. It should be D. But if you're getting confused how to figure out the other way. Now, I know this answer is D, but let's take our calculators. Look here. I'll just type this function, square root x, write alpha x itself, not any number. Write it as a variable x minus 2. Okay. Now then, choose any x value. I'll choose x value of 0. Calculate it at 0. What should be the answer? If it was the first option, it should have been something like 1.7. Is it correct? No, it's 0 we should have. This is also wrong. It's 0. It's minus something. 0. We don't have any answer. 0 is 0. This is the correct graph. Then we choose some other value. Calculate it at 2. At 2 it is 0.44. Let's check. At 2 it is 1, 2, no. At 2 it is minus, no. At 2 it is not there. At 2 it is, yes, 0. Nearly half, right? That's the correct answer. Only one graph will give you the correct answer. Now, in your exam, you might get somewhat like this. You will have 4 equations and 1 graph. What you can do is you can try all the graphs and check whether it's the correct one. That is one way. Or you can figure out by the translations which is the correct graph. We will see the problems in a while. Now here, I'm just going to write the domains quickly because these are all simple problems. It's plus square root. There's nothing added, that means it's 0. So domain will be y is greater than or equal to 0. What is the range? We just have to find the domain and range. X is greater than or equal to 9. Why? Because whatever is inside here must be greater than or equal to 0. X minus 9 is greater than or equal to 0. Take it to the other side, it will be positive 9. That's the reason. We can directly do it. So here we go. The domain is nothing added, so it's 0. And range is 0, greater than or equal to 0. And domain is 9. So that's the answers. Now what about this one? Here it is just minus 7. I'll just change this over here. Because we are plus 7, when it goes to the other side, it will become minus 7. And there's no addition of any number. So it is greater than or equal to 0. That's the answers. What about this one? Here now, 6x. I'll come to that in a minute. Now here what happens? This changes. Why? Because see, minus is that I told you at the beginning. If it is minus, it becomes less than or equal to 0. Range is done. What about domain? 6x must be greater than or equal to 0. Divide both the sides by 6. X is greater than or equal to 0. So literally all the values more than or equal to 0 are considered. Why? Because we are not, we are not considering this digits. Oh, it's 6, so it should be 6. No. If it is plus or minus, we take it to the other side. Now it's multiplied, so we divide both the sides. 0 divided by 6 here is 0 itself. So please remember, if you don't have anything plus or minus, it will be greater than or equal to 0 itself. See here? This is the method. I hope that's clear. And over here then, see, this is not required. You can just remember whenever we add something, you can just use it rather than this method. So now over here, whenever you are minus, it will be less than or equal to. See here, it's less than or equal to. When it's positive, it will be greater than or equal to for the range. Now this one we did at the beginning, that will be greater than or equal to. Now it's not 0. Why? Because we have minus 1. So this changes to minus 1. What about the x value? It is minus 2. We did it at the first problem with the choices. Here we go. These are the answers. This one here. See, the range will be just y is greater than or equal to 0. But what about the domain? Here we have 3x minus 4. That must be greater than or equal to 0. So it'll be 3x is greater than or equal to 4, or x is greater than or equal to 4 by 3. This will be the final answer. So it's 1.333 or 4/3. X is greater than or equal to 4/3. What about the range? Domain is done. Range, it's greater than or equal to 0. So this is the easy methods. And what about this one here? Again, we have domain of plus 2. So it should be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to plus 2. But look at this minus sign. That will make it as less than or equal to plus 2. You can just write less than or equal to 2. No need of plus. What about the other one? Domain x is greater than or equal to 2. Why? Because minus 2 to the other side becomes plus 2. Here as well. Now it's minus. So the range will be y is less than or equal to 0. Because there's nothing added or subtracted to it. This entire thing is for the domain only. Now what about the domain? X is greater than or equal to minus 1, because it's plus 1 to the other side becomes minus 1. Ignore the term which is, multiplied to it, 1/3. That will just depict the graph, See now, this is the graph. Here you can see the range is less than or equal to 0. The domain is greater than or equal to minus 1. How do you graph it? You can do the table, mode 7 table, or just put a x value and check. If you put x over here as 0, what will be the value? It will be some value over here, that is negative 1/3. Yes, this matches. If you put over here minus 1, then the entire thing will be 0. I'll show in the calculator. Just type this equation out. It's 1 divided by 3 minus 1 by thirds square root x plus 1. So I'll calculate this at 0. What is the answer? Negative one thirds. Are you having? Yes, this is almost negative one thirds. Let me take it as 2. What is the value? It will be minus 0.57. See, it's at 2. Yes, it's nearly zero point 0.6 minus downwards. Yes, that's correct. So you can keep on changing the value and check which is the correct answer. And domain and range, we just now did it as well. And here we go. This is for the domain and range. Now, what did they tell over here? You know how to do the domain and range, right? They're telling what is happening to the graph here. See, this is very important. This minus sign, right? So what happens is it'll be reflected, not translated, reflected. So if it was upwards, because of minus, it'll come downwards now. This is wrong. It'll be going downwards. So it's reflected along which axis? It always reflects along x-axis if it's plus. If it's minus. If it's plus, just leave it as it is. There's nothing. The parent graph is always going like this. So you tell the transformations from the parent graph. It'll reflect downwards if it is having minus. Now look over here. There is 1/3. What if it was 2 root x? Root x is something like this. Now if it is 2 times that, it will go bigger. 3 will be more bigger. You're stretching it out. Imagine you're putting more force. As the number is more, you're pulling the graph with more force. You're pulling it from here and over here, down and up. So it'll be going upwards like this, pulling it up, not compressing it, pulling it up and down. What happens when you pull to, say you have a plastic bag, you pull it, it stretches out, right? So that is called stretch if it's a bigger number. But look at this, it's a fraction, it's minus doesn't matter, we have taken care of it. If your fraction like half, anything less than 1, 0.25, 0.1, 0.75, all these numbers less than 1, like a fraction, 1 by 5 or anything, compresses it. It makes it go flatter and flatter. See, it compresses, goes less and less because it's lesser. If it is big number, it goes more, it stretches, less number, it compresses. So there's compression here. Now what is this? Always the compression happens vertically, right? From up to down. So you can just write compressed enough. Oh no, compressed vertically is there, yes. It's compressed vertically. And then what else? There is no translation up and down. Why? Because there is no plus or minus y. But here you can see there is x plus 1. So then the the translation happens along the x-axis. Plus 1 means it's at minus 1. So here you can tell it's translated 1 unit left. So you can see this 1 unit left. Why? Because it is translated x is equal to minus 1. That's the reason. So here we go. That is all the possible transformations that's happening over here. Let's look into one more problem. I'll tell you directly now. First thing, minus. So reflected along x-axis. You can write in your own words along x-axis. Next, I'll write this minus 2 translated. Now minus means plus, 2 units right, 2 units right, because it's going, if this is 0, it'll be 1, 2 over here. Why? The domain is x is greater than or equal to positive 2. And what is the range? Y is less than or equal to 3. Why? Because it's plus 3. Now here you need to tell, see this plus 3 means it's going up itself. Translated 3 units upwards, or up you can write. So these are the 3 important things to write. That's it. Now this is about the translation. You know the domain and range. Graph can be easily figured out in the calculator. So this is the domain greater than or equal to 2. Range is less than or equal to 3. And look at this. Here we have, it's reflected along x-axis, translated 2 units right, and 2 units up or upwards. That's how we figure it out. Very easy. Now this one, again, there is no translation up or down. There's no translation right or left. There is only stretch, stretch vertical stretch. That's it. You can, then the domain and range is y and x are both greater than or equal to 0. See, x will be greater than or equal to 0 because there's nothing plus or minus. Y also, because it's not minus, it's plus here. That's it. And graph, you can easily figure it out. And what do you tell for the transformation? The transformation is stretched vertically. That's it, because it's 2. If it is less than 1, you tell compressed vertically. How about this problem? See, these are all same. I'll write the domain first. X is greater than or equal to minus 3. Y is greater than or equal to 0. There is translation to 3 units left. Because it's minus 3, that means goes left. And that's it. There's nothing other thing. See it translated 3 units left. See here, there's no number that's added. So you can't translate it up and down. And there's no plus or minus. There's no minus sign. So only translation to the left because of x-axis. That's the domain. Here as well. Now this is translated 5 units down. It is stretched vertically. That's the two things that come to my mind. And y is what? Greater than or equal to minus 5. Why? Because it's positive here. And what about x? It's greater than or equal to 0. There's nothing added or subtracted to x in the square root. So here we have, okay, I forgot to tell stretch vertically. Did I tell? I'm not sure. It's vertically stretched. Why? Because it's more than 1. Whenever it's more than 1, you should tell it's stretched. Stretch is very important, and you always tell it's vertical stretch. If it's less than 1, you tell compressed vertically. Translated how much? 5 units down because it's minus 5. Here, translated minus 2, that is 2 units down. Translated 4 units left. That's it, those two things only. And the domain is greater than or equal to minus 2, and x is greater than or equal to minus 4. Graph, very simple. Put it in the calculator, figure out the correct answer. And here, yes, translated 4 units left and 2 units down because of minus sign. If it was plus 2, it will be 2 units up. Now here we have been given a graph. We need to figure out the correct answer. Look at this. Where did it move? 1, 2 units right. So it should be right means x minus 2 inside the square root. And 1 upwards, so it's plus 1. And it's going in the right thing, so it's this one only. But now if you look at this, there is up and down, so it's a cube root function. So this is the equation. Now this is a cubic graph. So you can see the answer. It corresponds to this. Why? Because I just figured out where is the center. See, the center of the cubic function is, it goes something like this and it goes something like that. But that is moved here. You can see this is the center now. So that is 1, 2 units. X is how much? Positive 2. So when you bring it inside, it will be minus 2. And this one, it's 1. You just add 1. But this isn't inside the radical, but it's cube root because this is a cube root function. If it was square root, it will just be like this. So therefore, it's easy to detect which is the correct, correct graph function. If you're getting confused, what you can do is, I'll show you in the calculator. Use your calculator, write this function. This is cube root, so shift and this symbol here, or you can use shift and this and put in value 3, x minus 2 plus 1. So you go next and then plus 1, it's outside the radical. Now I'll calculate it at say 0. What is the answer? It is negative quarter. Yes, it's around that. I'll calculate this at 1. It's 0. Is it correct? Yes, it's 0. I'll calculate it at 2. It's 1. Is it correct? Yes, it's at 1. So this is how we can figure out the correct answer. You can choose any other value. It will match to the graph. All the other options will not match. Only one correct answer will match. So that is your correct answer. Here as well, it is 0. See, now there is no changes at all. There is only stretched. It is stretched upwards. And this is also stretched up, stretched, up and down. This is a cube root function. But now, how can you find this is, when x is 1, how much is y? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you need to write 4 cube root x. That's it. That is because it's stretched 4 times. So that is the answer. Or you can put this in the calculator and then check it out. So when x is 1, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 units, right? So that's it. Don't go for any other terms. Don't go for 2 and 3. Only at 1. In the next problem they have given us the equation. We have done this similar before. So what you do is, first let's write the domain. That is x is greater than or equal to positive 5. Y is here greater than or equal to minus 6. Why is it? Because it's positive. This range, that is y, you need to take this number as it is. For the domain, whatever is inside the square root, we change its sign. Now then you can easily, figuring out the graph is very, very simple. Put this in the calculator and then figure out the points, whether they match If they match, yes, that's the graph. Otherwise, go to the next option. And what about the translation? It is stretched vertically. Why? Because it's 2, it's more than 1. Translated 5 units to the right because the domain and range I'd showed you, it's greater than or equal to 5. It's 5 units right, 6 units down. Same thing over here, the translation 3 units up, that is positive 3. 12 units left because x plus 12, it changes its sign, and this is compressed because it's 3 4, that's less than 1, it's 0.75, it's compressed vertically. Now what about the domain and range? X is greater than or equal to negative 12, y is greater than or equal to 3. So these are the answers. And then we have done this. It's very simple, straightforward. You can check this ahead. See, compressed vertically. Why? Because it's 0.75. 12 units to the left because it'll be minus 12, and 3 units up. Similarly, I'll just show you the answer and walk it through. Now this minus, so here, one important thing is the range, that will be less than or equal to. Then everything else is same. So less than or equal to minus 4. What about the domain? Domain is greater than or equal to positive 1. Graph can be easily found out in calculator. And what about the translations? Here you can see there is minus 1 by 5. It's compressed vertically. Translated 1 unit to the right because it changes its sign. And translated 4 units to the downwards. But here I forgot to tell you, reflected along x-axis. Why? Because it's minus, isn't it? Whenever there is minus, there's a reflection. Instead of the graph going up, it'll be downwards. Wherever the translation happens, and then it'll go downwards. That's the very important thing. So here we have reflected in the x-axis if it's minus. If it's plus, you just don't mention anything over there. Here as well, it will be reflected along the x-axis. It's more than 1. So see now here, don't get confused, it's minus 3. No, we take this minus separately. This value, we take it separately. This value only. 3 is bigger than 1. So it is vertically stretched. Then we take x is greater than or equal to minus 7. So that is the domain. What about the range? This minus makes it y is less than or equal to 9. You need to remember these conditions and then we can easily figure it out. So that's the domain and range. Graph can be easily found out in the calculator. And if at all they ask you what's happening, it's vertically stretched. It's reflected along the x-axis because of minus value. It is moving how many? Minus 7. That is, x is translated towards 7 units left. It's 7 units left and 9 units upwards because it's plus 9. So that's how we write it here as well. Now this is a cube root function. Remember, cube root function, domain and range is very simple. It's minus infinity to infinity no matter what. Range, domain and range, both. Domain, that is dl, right? Range, both of it is just minus infinity to infinity. You don't have to worry about it at all. See here, the answer is this. Only the translations, we have done this translations, right? Now what is happening? Minus means it's reflected along in the x-axis or along the x-axis. Now it's 1 by 3, which is less than the number 1. So it's compressed vertically. It's plus 2. So it is translated 2 units left because it goes to the left. And what is the y value? It is translated 3 units down. Here the only difference is domain and range is always minus infinity to infinity. These other things are the same thing what we have done for square root. It is same thing for cube root as well. Here again it's cubic. So let's see, the domain and range will be minus infinity to infinity. Here minus means it's reflected along the x-axis. Half is less than 1. So it is compressed vertically. Let me just show you one by one. Over here we have, see it's first I'll tell reflected along x-axis because of the minus sign. Then half, it's compressed vertically. Then here, if you find the domain, we know the domain and range, it's cube root. But just equate this equal to 0. X is equal to 1 by 2, okay? So here it is translated half units to the right because it's plus half units to the right and 3 units above or up. That's the answer. Here, if you look at it, it's inequalities. Now, don't worry about inequalities. There are only few things to remember. Just consider this to be equal and solve the problem. But now it's not written properly. See, always we write this terms first, right? This is the y term. So what I'll do is I'll just rewrite this like this. Y is equal to minus 3 square root x minus 4 plus 6. Now can I write the domain and range easily? X will be greater than or equal to 4. Y will be less than or equal to 6. Why? Because you can see it's minus. Then what is happening? It is reflected along the x-axis. It's vertically stretched 4 units to the right, because that's x, that's 4 units to the right, and 6 units upwards. That's it. Now the graph changes a little bit. Here it's less than or equal to, look here. So it's a straight line. But if it was, say, less than, then it would be dotted line. Now, after all this, after you draw the graph, there is one very important thing to understand. Less than or equal to, right? Your graphing must go down. Is that okay? So one thing I forgot to tell you just a while ago is this range, hold it. Now this is correct. X is less than or equal to, yes, in this case it's correct. Hold it. Look for the inequality. Then you realize the range, not directly. Here, just forget the range, just mention the domain, but this is the inequality. So how you can do is use the calculator. Easily you can find the correct graph. And then see, it's less than or equal to, it should be a straight line and it should go downwards. This is the correct answer. Let's see another problem. Here, it's less than only, so it should be a dotted line. Your final answer will be dotted line. And the domain, what is the domain? It will be 12 by 4, it's 3. See, what happens here is x is greater than or equal to positive 12 divided by 4, that is 3, right? So that is the domain. And then what we have to do is see the graph. It's dotted lines. Why? Because it's less than. And over here, domain, this plus 8. Okay, it's at 8. Yes, correct. And then x value at 3. Correct. You can use a calculator and easily figure it out. But they have told y is less than. So all the portion below it is shaded. This is the correct answer. And what about this one? They have given us the graph. We need to figure out where 1, 2, 3, 4, minus 4. That means x plus 4 and then minus 2. So the answer will be, see here, this is the answer. It's square root x plus 4 minus 2. Now what happens is this is reflected along the x-axis downwards, so it's minus sign. Or just put it in the calculator, you'll get the answer. We have done this many times before as well. So you can just choose the values and check which is the correct graph. But you need to do for all the 4 options. This one here, it's cubic. Why? Because you can see it's both the sides. So it's cubic function. It's going 1 unit to the left. So it's x plus 1. And 2 units. It's 2 units down. Minus 2. Now here, right side is going up. Left side is going down. So it's plus. If at all, right side is going down. Left side is going up. Then it would have been minus here. So this one is the correct answer. You can see that's the correct. Okay, now there is one very important thing. I forgot to take in the compression. See, other things are all correct. Only the compression is missed out. How did the compression happen? Now see here, it's not so, what to say, you can not easily understand. But if you look at it, this is 0, right? This is minus 1, right? 1 unit. It's not going here. If it is going over here, it's 1, 1. But look carefully, how much is it going? For 1 unit, it's just going half the value, so it is half. If at all, imagine this was going from here to directly jump here, then I should have taken 2. It's vertically stretched. Here there is a compression, because if I look 1 unit, how much is it in vertically? It's only half. That is how we write half. The example will be easily visible. See, now just look over here. This is the point. Take 1 unit of x. And how much we did? That is half over there. So therefore, we must have the compression as well. That's half. That is the end of this question. I hope it is clear. If you have any doubts, please consider rewatching the video or posting your doubts in the comments. I hope you all will head on to the next video.